What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 363rd episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today our guest is going to be Lumpkin County head coach Heath Webb, and then we're also going to update the spring sports results and talk about some of the big games this weekend. And last night was crazy. Parkview, the number one ranked team in 7A on baseball, they fell in Game 3 to North Paulding, and then the Walton Lady Raiders in tennis fell. So those are two number one ranked teams that went out last night. We'll have those updates after the first segment, but let's go ahead and welcome on head coach Heath Webb. How's it going, Coach?
Great, man. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet. So how many days have you guys been into the spring? Because I've seen a lot of guys have come out to see you guys this year.
Yeah, we're day 6 today, and got a fun little scrimmage format set up for today to kind of wrap up this week. And yeah, we've had a lot of visitors, a lot of interest in some of our players at the collegiate level. So it's nice to have college coaches on your campus and at your practices.
And I want to talk about last year real quick. Mason Solins, he put up unbelievable numbers running the football. I know he was looking for an opportunity. Is that still an open process, or has he found a home?
He has found a home. He had numerous opportunities at the small college level, and will have the opportunity to play at Brevard College next year. Okay.
And he's a guy that I think you said he epitomizes the hard work pays off motto you guys have instilled at Lumpkin County. So you guys, obviously the hard work is paying off, but how have you guys kind of sharpened the focus or raised up the intensity this offseason to continue taking that next step?
You know, our focus has been to understand what has gotten us to this point, which is the hard work and the coachability of our players and that sort of thing. So continue just to ramp up what we're already doing, and continue with that by understanding that you know, you're either predator or prey. It's kind of been the way we've discussed this with our players, and you know, for the last couple we've been that predator, and you know, we make sure that we stay that, because if you drop your guard and you become the prey very quickly, and we know that we're going to get everybody's best shot after winning the region last year and going 12-1 and having a lot of success. So you know, the mindset has been a big piece of our spring thus far.
Yes, it has. And last year with 3A, I mean, it's been dominated by the Calvary Days, Savannah Christians, obviously Cedar Grove. But, I mean, you guys had that breakthrough season last year. But when I look at your social media, you guys are really promoting your middle school program. And I know that's obviously an area of focus to continue building. One, how successful has the middle school been? And then are you still looking for that head coaching position, or has it been filled?
Yeah, so you know, that's a big part of us. We're a developmental program, and we believe that, you know, we're going to take Lumpkin County kids and make them good, and we're not going to go out and, you know, try to take kids from other schools. It's just not us, and you know, we're going to win or lose with the kids that live in this community, and believe that's what high school football is all about. Our middle school last year was our 8th grade team was 9-0. Won the Mountain Athletic Championship. That's a very good group that you'll hear about over the course of the next few years. It's a special group that's got Lions, quarterback, running back. It's got them all. So that's a very good group for us. Our 7th grade team lost the championship game in the Mountain Athletic Conference. So we've had a great deal of success at the middle school level, and that's largely due to the high school staff pouring into them and middle school staff buying in, and we filled all those positions. We did have an opening for an assistant at that middle school level, and we were able to fill that. So that thing is working well.
Yes, and when you got the job, there were over 30 applicants. It's a program that hasn't had the big playoff success, but it seems like all the right pieces are in place. Great community, proud tradition, and things are really on the up and up for you guys. I wanted to ask you though, your wife Jessie, was she previously a teacher at Lumpkin County before you got there, and how long was she there?
Yeah, so it's funny. This is her third stint in Lumpkin County as we, as she does the coach's wife life, which is, as I move around and jobs take us to different places. Anytime that, we were within driving distance of Lumpkin County, she was employed by Lumpkin County. It's where her heart is and where my heart is now, obviously, and it's a place that we want to make our home and a place we want to raise our kids. So my wife has been in Lumpkin County for numerous years now, and it's good for us all to be in the same system and live in the community, and our kids be in the community. It's a great situation for us as a family.
Yes, it is. And then how pleased were you just with the product last year, the 12-1 season, and just what that group was able to do in terms of laying a real foundation that you guys can build off of?
Yeah, it was a very special senior class. A group that their freshman year they were 0-10 at the varsity level, and then flip the script and they go 10-0 in the regular season their senior year. A group that battled through a lot of adversity and came out the other side and ultimately ended up being 12-1 and winning the first two playoff games in school history. Just really proud of them, and they laid a tremendous foundation for us. And we've got a few holes to fill based on that graduation, but feel like the foundation is there, and we'll move forward in a fashion that will make that senior class very proud.
Okay, and then your quarterback is Cal Faulkner. Last year he was the Region Player of the Year, All-State. Seems like he's just a really incredible athlete that I believe is being projected at wide receiver at the next level. How did that decision go to put him in at quarterback? Was it, this guy's the best athlete on the field, let's put the ball in his hands, or where did you see that ability to play quarterback?
Yeah, it's exactly that. He's just a dynamic playmaker, and I think threw for 1,700 yards last year, rushed for 1,000, accounted for 34 touchdowns. Just a guy that we wanted to touch the ball in every single play. You know how it is, man. You and I both have been there as receivers. There's no way to guarantee you the ball. We got to hope that everything goes right to get the ball. Protection, throws, the whole 9 yards. To be able to snap it to him on every single play was something that was important to us. He was our backup quarterback as a sophomore while he was playing full-time receiver, so he got a lot of practice reps at quarterback, and we saw glimpses of what could be. We thought it would be pretty special. Obviously, it has been, but as you noted, he is a receiver at the next level. There's a few programs out there. He has an offer from Navy. There are a few programs out there that would consider him as a quarterback, but he's a guy that projects as a receiver at the next level. And every single coach that comes by, the Lad McConkey comparison comes out. A Mountain High School quarterback that projects as a wide receiver at the next level. Every coach, 100%, every coach that comes through here says he's Lad McConkey. So the comparisons are just too strong not to notice, and hopefully he'll make an impact like that once he gets to the next level.
It's a great comparison, and he might even be a little taller. And I know you guys have put out some of the metrics in terms of his mile per hour. So what is some of the impressive numbers he's been able to put up that really make him a legitimate star receiver at the next level?
Yeah, so just natural size. He's 6'2.5", 187 pounds as of this week. So from a physique size, he is the part. Can he put on another 15 pounds? Sure, and I'm sure that'll happen once he hits a college campus. But he's 23 miles per hour at on the GPS, and we GPS track our guys daily. In pads, in game, he's hit 21 miles per hour. So and that's sort of a new metric that most of the fan population probably doesn't recognize. But with every Power 5 or Power 4, whatever that is these days, every college coach knows that they're GPS tracking their kids just like we are. And that 23 miles per hour goes in with the elite wide receivers at the college level. So we feel really good about his ability, from size wise and from speed wise. Feel like he can compete at the next level and will have an impact for whoever chooses to take him.
Yep, and obviously you've seen some great receiver talents in your coaching career. Chris Conley, when you were at Paulding County back in the day, do you see just like a similar type ability with him?
Yeah, he really is. Chris was a little bigger, a little thicker. Carried a little bit more weight as a high school player. But Cal's elusiveness is unlike any player that I've ever coached. So loose in the hips, gets to full speed in a hurry, and does just dynamic things with the ball. The ability to make people miss, I think, is probably his greatest attribute. Very few times was he tackled solidly. Most of the time it's people are catching a leg or whatever, but nobody's really squaring him up because he's so elusive and so quick and agile. I think that's going to be the difference maker for him. For us, his senior year and at the next level as well.
For sure. And so last year, I guess, was his first full season starting. Obviously, you guys made the playoff run, so he had experience as a backup. But what do you expect the offense to be like this year, and kind of what have you seen the difference this spring?
We'll look a little bit different offensively. Obviously, Cal's a big part of that in the run game and the throw game. But we move a wide receiver, Nolan Matthews, who's a 10, 900-meter guy, who's also touched 23 miles per hour on a GPS, to running back, smaller guy. If Mason Sullins was thunder, then Nolan Matthews is lightning. So we'll look a little bit different from the running back position. But our backfield between Cal and Nolan will be very explosive. Two really, really fast guys that are going to put stress on a defense. And then, from there we do what we do. We lean on the offensive line and let those guys lead the way for us.
And then you mentioned Nolan Matthews, how fast he is in the 100. So he went from, you're saying, wide receiver to now running back? Or did he play a little bit of both already?
So he last year was his first year as a wide receiver, and elite speed. So we had to have him on the field, but at the same time, we didn't want to take Mason Sullins off the field. So he spent a 1-year deal at wide receiver. Played running back as a freshman, was our JV player of the year. But then, just a chance to get him on the field and let him play. We played him at receiver. He had a great year there, developed really well as a wide receiver. But it's time for him to move back where he's natural, and that's at the running back spot.
Absolutely. And so you got Cal Faulkner, the reigning region player of the year. Got a pretty solid senior class. But in terms of the underclassmen, we mentioned the middle school program, but who are you excited about this spring to kind of get that first taste of varsity experience?
Yeah, we had an offensive line that started 24 straight games together that were really, really good, and so we got to replace those guys, or not all of them, but we got to replace a few of those guys, and we've got two young tackles that will be sophomores in the fall, Caleb Souls and Rylan Armstrong, who have a chance to be really special. Excited to watch those guys play. Think they'll compete well at the varsity level. We've got Trent Mobley, who started for us in the secondary last year. Will continue to start in the secondary for us, but we'll also see a lot of action at wide receiver. Excited to see him with his hand. He didn't get a whole lot of touches a year ago, but a guy that we think could be a special playmaker for us at wide receiver. And at linebacker, our middle linebacker, Mike Nichols, a guy that was behind a 3-year starter at linebacker. He'll be a junior this fall, but we think he's got the potential to be really special as well. Looking forward to seeing those guys grow and develop.
And then how many returning starters do you feel like you have on defense this year?
Defensively, we have 6 starters coming back. Linebacker's a place where we took the biggest hit, 3 senior linebackers graduating. So filling those holes will be the biggest challenge for us.
And then obviously, with all this exceptional talent that you have offensively, how key is that just during spring for your defense to be able to go up against some of these elusive speed breakers?
Yeah, it's good, and just to see the speed every day in practice. Hopefully, when our defense gets to Friday night, the game seems slower for them, and we make sure that the practice speed is more difficult than what they see on Friday night. And then conversely, our defensive line is really good, and those guys have a lot of experience, so they're doing a great job of helping us break in a couple of new offensive linemen. So that challenge of practice every day is making us better.
All right, and then let's talk about the schedule a little bit. You're going to open up against Cherokee Bluff on the road. You're obviously very familiar with Coach Tommy Jones. Just talk about the non-region schedule and what do you expect this year?
Yeah, we're excited. Love the non-region schedule. Cherokee Bluff, Hart County, Dunwoody, teams that have great pedigree, an opportunity to make us better, an opportunity for us to kind of make some noise and beating some really good football teams. So we know that it's a great challenge for us, but we're at a point in this program where we have to rise up and meet those challenges, and excited to bring Dunwoody here. Excited to bring Hart County back here for a second year in a row. We know that they'll be much improved. Those guys do a great job over there coaching-wise. So just really looking forward to that non-region portion of the schedule.
Absolutely. And so there'll be 3 non-region, 7 region games. How big was the region last year in comparison?
Yeah, so I loved our region last year. We lost a few of those. Wesleyan was obviously great competition for us. Gilmer, we lose those 2. We lose West Hall, but we had some teams that I think can bring some great competition and great ball games. And North Hall, Chestatee, GAC. So there's some quality opponents that jump into the region with us. We'll miss some of those old rivalries, but look forward to making some new ones that get some very good competition.
Okay, yeah, so it goes from 6 teams up to 7, and then, a lot of new teams in that bunch. What else has changed just this offseason in terms of maybe an increased focus on nutrition? You mentioned guys like Cal maybe trying to bulk up. How much attention have you put into just the nutrition side of things?
A lot. So we've we've added a nutrition plan. We've got generous donors here in the community that make sure that our guys are taken care of, and we try to run this thing like a small college as best we can, and making sure that our guys have the proper nutrition after workouts and throughout the course of the day. Really proud of the steps that we've made in that, and I think we've gotten bigger and stronger because of it. And then the increased metrics that we're getting with the GPS stuff to make sure that we've got guys that are healthy, but also making sure that we're getting faster. There's good technology out there that helps us with that, and so we're taking good advantage of that.
And then I feel like, Friday nights are very exciting, but it seems like your team just last season and the potential this year, it's just going to be a very fun and exciting team to watch. So what have you just seen around the surrounding support of the program, and kind of how excited the kids, family, and student body is to get back on the field?
Yeah, it was last season was it was definitely magical, and this community rallied behind us and supported us like crazy, and we don't expect that to let up. I think we've given them the opportunity now 2 seasons in a row, 20 wins in the last 2 seasons. So I think that the community believes and the community supports, and we're very thankful for that. And Dahlonega is, always been hungry for a successful football program, and we're happy to give it to them. And we know that our people are going to keep coming out and keep supporting us, and we're very grateful for it.
Yep, and it's been a great school year for you guys across the board athletically. I think that boys tennis has a chance to get to the state finals, but I want to ask you just about Dahlonega in general. So your colors, they're purple and Vegas gold. I think you guys go by Gold City. So is there anything else that you guys have tried to kind of bring into the community to kind of represent Dahlonega?
Yeah, we try to use that Gold City moniker as much as we can. Just embracing the history of, the first U.S. gold rush taking place right here in our community, and and really brought the Gold City thing kind of in 2022 with a change in athletic director and me being hired, and just kind of a new way of approaching athletics in Dahlonega and Lumpkin County, and just trying to make it special and embrace local history, and at the same time kind of set off a new course. So yeah, it's an awesome little community, and number one industry here is tourism, and it's awesome that a lot of people get to experience what we call home, and we just want to keep bringing positive notoriety to it.
Absolutely. And then last point, when are you guys going to have that scrimmage to put into spring ball and kick off the off season?
Yeah, so we scrimmage East Forsyth at home next Friday, the 10th. And, we know that they had a good season last year, obviously a larger school than us, and, a playoff team from a larger classification. And, those guys do a great job. So we're excited about lining up and competing against them.
Certainly. They'll have a new head coach, and yeah, for them to make the playoffs out of that region last year, they were definitely the real deal. Well, Coach Webb, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Best of luck this last week of spring ball, and we can't wait to see you guys in 2024.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate you, buddy.
You bet. All right, so there goes Coach Webb, and what a job they've done. So in the last 2 years, they are 20-4, and then last year, as I said, 3A was dominated by the Cedar Groves. Everyone was talking about the Savannah area, but there were some teams like Lumpkin County that were the real deal. They ended up falling short to Savannah Christian in the quarterfinals, but they were super young. They had their quarterback starting for the first time. The big replacement, it is going to have to be Mason Solins. Let me just go to his numbers real quick. He did get an opportunity late. He had 332 carries for 2,281 yards, 175 yards per game, and 33 rushing touchdowns. I think only Jaden Duke Scott from Stockbridge, maybe Fred Brown from Coffee were up in that range. That is tremendous. And he did that in 13 games. Jaden Duke Scott had 2 extra games in the playoffs. And then Cal Faulkner, their quarterback, who's going to play receiver at the next level. He scored 49 points in a basketball game this year. You go to his profile picture, he's hurdling 2 guys. The guy is an athletic specimen. He passed for 19 touchdowns, just 1 interception, 68% completion percentage, and then also rushed for nearly 1,000 yards and 18 touchdowns. So they have the best athlete at quarterback heading into his senior year. He'll be able to make things happen. If you look at last year's schedule, they were able to win any shootout they got into. They beat White County 61-55 in 4 overtimes. They put up 56 points on Gilmer, which was a very solid team, nearly won the region last year, or 2 years ago. They beat Wesleyan, obviously had their first ever perfect regular season, and then in the playoffs, before the Savannah Christian loss, they beat Oconee County in double overtime. So they had 2 overtime games last year, and they're able to win both. Both of them went into multiple overtime. So they're battle tested, they're clutch down the stretch. They're well coached, and I think the X factor for them is the exciting style of play they have. Once their guys get going, Cal's doing spectacular plays, making guys miss, getting the ball in their speedsters. The team really feeds off that, and they become very dangerous. They averaged 42 points per game last year, so definitely a team to watch. They got a scrimmage next Friday against East Forsyth, and it should be a lot of fun. All right, but let's go ahead and take our first break, thank our sponsors, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, welcome back, and a little bit more about Coach Webb. He's had a tremendous career, still a pretty young coach, but he got started at Paulding County as a head coach. He's also been at Milton, Peachtree Ridge, right before Lumpkin County. In Gainesville, he was at Winder Barrow. He helped rebuild that program. His stint at Gainesville was also successful. Stepped over, took the job. He was among 30 different applicants. And what was crazy to me is he got in on a board vote. The board vote was 3-2. You have Heath Webb coming to a team that had never won a playoff game, and now they're coming off a 12-1 season, 20-4 over the last 2 years. So, I mean, that just shows some of these board votes, and we've seen it. I think at Valdosta a couple years ago, they fired their coach after he won a state title 2 years before that. I mean, some of these are just brutal, and it's beyond political. It's like almost like self-serving. They don't understand. For him to barely get in on that vote, I hope those 2 people have learned their lesson. He's brought a tremendous excitement to the program. His wife teaches there. I mean, I don't know what those 2 people were thinking, but just goes to show, I mean, this whole board vote and sacred votes and stuff. No, there's some sketch people that aren't really team players. Let's just put it that way. So I'm glad he's there. He's putting them on the map. He's got Rusty. Austin Brooks was there. Tons of recruits, and I really think they're going to be one of the more exciting teams to watch, is because they have a spectacular talent at the quarterback position that is also an intriguing prospect, because he will be able to play receiver at the next level. We brought up Chris Conley from Paulding County. Coach Webb coached him. He obviously went to University of Georgia and then got drafted in the 3rd round by the Kansas City Chiefs. And he ended up going to Jacksonville after that. He's currently on the San Francisco 49ers. But Coach Webb was so impactful to Chris Conley coming out of Paulding County. There's a lot of good football played in Paulding County, but not a lot of top receiver talents that are going the third round. And 2018 was when Chris Conley finally had a breakthrough season with the Chiefs. It was probably his third or fourth season with them, right at the end of his rookie contract. Had 5 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes was coming into the program, and so Coach Webb actually went to Chris Conley's wedding. And even though Chris Conley was getting traded away from the Chiefs after his rookie contract, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were both there to support him. Obviously, they had to square off in the Super Bowl this last year, but I thought that was pretty cool that Coach Webb was at Chris Conley's wedding with Travis Hunter and Patrick Mahomes. So he is definitely a guy that has seen a lot of great playmakers, and it looks like Cal Faulkner is just the latest, and he's poised for a monster senior year. So be sure to check out their scrimmage next week. Definitely keep an eye on the Indians. We'll see where they open the season ranked in Class 3A. Class 3A will look a lot different. You got teams like Calhoun coming into 3A this year. It's going to be a lot different, but 3A was just as difficult, in my opinion, last year, and they made a phenomenal run. All right, so we're going to go to baseball right now. Talk about last night because, wow, there were some major results, game threes. I said on Monday, the key for North Paulding, if they can just put Parkview in that game 3 situation, anything can happen. I mean, obviously, you don't want to get swept, but I felt like that would really put pressure on them. North Paulding last year made it all the way to the semifinals. They beat Walton in the quarters, and then ended up losing to Lowndes in the semifinals. Lowndes went on to win state. Lowndes also obviously beat Parkview in the finals. Well, this year, North Paulding opened the season because of that run, ranked very high. They stumbled in region play, ended up dropping the game to Harrison. Hillgrove surpassed them. They earned the number 2 seed. So last year when they lost to Lowndes, they were like 25-5. This year they were closer to 500, but they were battle tested, and so they get into the game 3 and then had a phenomenal 5-0 victory. And I got the stats pulled up right here. Actually have multiple stories on this. So let me pull up this one. All right. Parkview ranked number 1 in Georgia's Class 7A and in the top 25 of several national polls, is out of the state baseball tournament as of last night. They were beaten 5-0 in Game 3. North Paulding's Lucas Vargo shut out the Panthers, who were limited to just 3 hits. Caden Sheffield and Yinlo Nolasco hit home runs for the Wolfpack. North Paulding unranked will play number 3 North Gwinnett on the road beginning Monday in the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals in classes 7A, 5, 3, and A Division I begin Monday. The others are beginning their series on Saturday. Defending champion Lowndes is perhaps now the 7A team to beat. The Vikings, seeking to become the first South Georgia team to repeat in the highest classification in more than 40 years, will be at home against South Forsyth. I have another breakdown of it right here. All right, Parkview 28-7 had split the first 2 games of their best of 3. Thursday, however, was all North Paulding. Lucas Vargo threw 5 scoreless, allowing just 2 hits before the relief came in. Neither offense got on the board through 3 innings, but Parkview starter Kason Gleaton gave up a 1-out line drive homer to Yinli Nolasco in the top of the 4th, which put North Paulding up 1-0. Gleaton escaped the rest of the inning without damage, but the Panther offense, which managed just 3 hits on the day, was retired quietly in the home half of the 4th. To open the 5th inning, Gleaton gave up a single to Wesley Mooring, followed by Cade Cox's RBI double to give the Wolfpack a 2-0 advantage. John Holcomb relieved Gleaton, but gave up a 2-run homer to Caden Sheffield on the first pitch he threw, which gave North Paulding a 4-0 lead. The homer stamped Gleaton's line as the big right-hander allowed 7 hits, 3 earned over 4 1/3, while striking out 6 and walking none. Gleaton led off the bottom of the 5th with a single, but was erased on a double play. Parkview's Ethan Finch then came into pinch hit in the 6th inning, but like Holcomb, he was greeted with a homer. He came in relief to pitch. He was greeted with a homer on the first batter as Nolasco launched his second of the game, putting North Paulding up 5-0. So really strong win by North Paulding, and I think that obviously is going to change their entire season. They've had some tough losses in region play, but I mean, you just beat Parkview. They're going to be playing with a ton of confidence, and that definitely is going to shake things up. All right, some other big Game 3 results. The team that beat North Paulding in their region, Region 3, to get the number 1 seed was Hillgrove. And Brookwood was beaten by Parkview to get the number 2 seed. So both region champions are out, and the number 2 seeds advance. North Paulding advanced, now Brookwood advanced. They beat Hillgrove to reach the Elite 8. Brookwood got outstanding, started pitching for the 3rd straight game, and used a 4-run third to keep Hillgrove at bay to win 6-1 in the 2nd round. The victory sends the Broncos, who are now 6-9, to the state quarterfinals. They will begin a series at Buford on Monday. For Hillgrove, their season comes to a close at 24-13. After starters Jackson Barberi and Charlie Scott combined to pitch 10 1/3 innings, allowing 3 hits, 3 runs, and striking out 21 batters over the course of Wednesday's doubleheader split, sophomore Joe Soto picked up right where they left off, having 79 pitches available before he hit the 110 pitch limit for the series. He needed only 73 to pitch 6 innings of 6-hit, 1-run ball. It was a performance that more than Coach Robbie Gilbert was hoping for. We're blessed. We have some really good arms. Joe, he's only a sophomore. It was a gutsy performance. He just goes out there and competes. Soto threw only 56 pitches over the first 5 innings and allowed only 1 player to reach third base during that span. Max Roginski came in and pitched an uneventful 7th inning to secure the victory. The Broncos loss made for a long ride home on Wednesday, getting in well after midnight, and then having another long ride back to Hillgrove on Thursday. It would also help put things behind them as they could score early, and that's exactly what happened. With 2 outs, Roginski turned on a 3-2 fastball and hit it down the left field line for a solo homer. When you get a start like that, it helps. Max put a good swing on it and helped us get going. They broke the game open 2 innings later. John Beverly opened the 3rd with a single, stole 2nd and 3rd, and then scored on a wild pitch. So they struck first and closed him out. Also out of that region, Grayson advanced, and they're going to play Walton up next. You also had, let's go to North Gwinnett real quick. North Gwinnett's baseball season will continue into the Class 7A state quarterfinals following a sweep of Cherokee. They're now 29-3. They've won 18 straight. They topped Cherokee 7-6 in walk-off fashion in Game 1 before using an offensive onslaught early in Game 2 to win 13-8. Game 1 saw them go behind 1-0 in the top of the 2nd as Wesley Hurt drove in Alex Morales to put an early lead on the board against North Gwinnett's starter Trey James. In the bottom of the 2nd, Jake Gaskill began what was an excellent night for the left fielder. He drove in a pair of runs to give North Gwinnett a 2-1 lead before scoring on a fielding error to push them up 3-1. So they had a clutch walk-off win, and that was Gaskill with the game-winning run in Game 1, and then they blew them out in Game 2. So let's pull up these brackets real quick. All right, so the Elite Eight action on the boys' side, you're going to have Grayson and Walton. They'll be at Walton. Grayson's the number 3 seed behind Parkview, now out, and Brookwood. And then Walton's number 2 seed. Sorry, Walton's the number 1 seed. All right, so then Brookwood is going to play at Buford. Should be a tremendous matchup. Brookwood swept West Forsyth. Buford swept West Forsyth. Brookwood, we just mentioned their win over Hillgrove. And then North Gwinnett is going to have to take on North Paulding after their big win over Parkview. And then South Forsyth is going to take on Lowndes, who beat Harrison 6-1 in Game 3. All right, in Class 6A, big-time matchup. Lassiter was able to beat Noonan 4-2 in Game 3. I thought Noonan was one of the hottest teams in the state, but what did we say about Lassiter? They're battle-tested, and they have not lost many series. They've had a lot of losses, but they're tough to beat in a 3-game series. They advance. They're going to take on Houston County, the defending champs, next. Key for them, obviously, they've got to find a way to steal a game in that initial doubleheader starting on Monday. All right, Thomas County Central swept Woodward Academy. They will play Pope next. Pope had a clutch 4-1 win over East Paulding last night in Game 3. Blessed Trinity swept North Forsyth. They're now going to take on rival Marist. Should be a big-time matchup. 2 of the hottest teams in 6A this year. And then Etowah is going to take on Tift County. Tift County survived a 7-6 win over Brunswick in Game 3. So definitely a close call for them to advance. And they will have to... Tift County will get to host that matchup between number 1 seeds. All right, 5A, we talked about that on Wednesday's show. That was already set. Class 4A, Troop was able to beat West Lawrence 10-2 in Game 3 to advance to play Holy Innocents. Troop lost Game 1 and then had a 4-2 win and then a 10-2 to advance. Holy Innocents swept Lovett. Wayne County upset LaGrange, a huge win for them, 8-0 in Game 2. They'll take on Cherokee Bluff. That's the team that has come up close the last 2 seasons behind North Oconee. They're trying to win their first state title. You got Heritage Catoosa at number 1 ranked Stars Mill, and then North Oconee on the road against Perry. Perry survived a 2-1 Game 3 win over Whitewater, a very clutch victory, and they keep their season going. It has been a phenomenal year for the Panthers. In Class 3A, Wesleyan at Mary Persons, Dawson County at Calvary Day, Pickens at defending state champ Harlem, and then Oconee County at Thomasville. Mary Persons coming off a Game 3 win. Pickens beat Hebron Christian 10-0 in Game 3. Oconee County's coming off Game 3. Thomasville is as well. So half of that field had to go to 3 games. In Class 2A, the big matchup is going to be North Cobb Christian, number 1 ranked, against Jeff Davis. I believe they are number 4 in the AJC poll. Jeff Davis carries a 20-game win streak into it after starting the season 0-7. So they are red hot. They just beat Pierce County 2-1, 5-1. And as I said, even in those 7 losses, they were all determined by a single run. So they were playing with so much confidence. If they beat North Cobb Christian and continue this win streak, I think they will certainly be the team to beat. All right, so before we hit the next break, let me look at the tennis real quick. All right, so the state championships have been set for the girls. Last night, West Forsyth beat Walton 3-1. It was a big upset. Walton was going for their 4th straight title. They've won more tennis state championships than any school in the state. So that was a big-time win for West Forsyth, who actually was the number 3 seed in the playoffs. They will take on Milton after the Eagles defeated North Gwinnett 3-1. Milton is the number 1 seed out of Region 6. West Forsyth is the number 3. The number 2 seed was, South Forsyth, who Walton had beat, and then Lambert got the number 4. So another strong run by Region 6, and that will be a rematch, obviously, of the season. The number 1 seed versus number 3, Milton and West Forsyth. In Class 6A, it's going to be Lakeside Evans against Marist. This will be May 11th in Rome. Lakeside Evans defeated Roswell 3-2. Marist swept Pope 3-0. In Class 5A, this will be completed tonight, I believe. Or actually, they have until May 6th. They have the weekend, but it's going to be Cambridge against Decatur in the semis, and then Northview against Centennial. This is Class 5A. The Class 4A has already been set. On the girls' side, it's going to be a pretty familiar rematch between Pace Academy and Westminster. Class 3A, Oconee County against Wesleyan. Class 2A, Jeff Davis advanced last night with a 3-2 win over Appleton County. They await Savannah Arts in Brantley County. Class A Division 2 is going to be Lake Oconee Academy against Telfair County, and then Class A Division 1, Mount Vernon against Atlanta International. So got all of them but 2 classifications set on the girls' side. All right, let's take one more quick break, thank our sponsors, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me, can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and proper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. All right, so we've got next week will be the tennis state championships. We got bass fishing this week. We got the start of the baseball Elite 8 this weekend on Saturday. The rest will continue on Monday. And then we have sectionals for track and field, which I think is going to be big time. This is going to set the field for the state championships. And the biggest storyline that I was looking for in regards to sectionals, I think, is going to be in Class 5A. So last year on the girls' side, Greater Atlanta Christian won. They ended up with 61 points in the championship. Cambridge, who's also in the region, had 54.50. So not a big gap between them. They finished first and second. Well, this year, last week in the region championships, these teams tied 146 to 146. So this is the first and second place team. They're in the same region and they tied last week. So now they're going to be in the sectionals. They'll be competing with 2 other regions. That's going to be, 3 other regions. It's going to be Region 1, 4, and 8, and then they'll be Region 6. So who out of GAC and Cambridge is going to have a better weekend? I think that will determine who has the edge to take this year's Class 5A title. Cambridge has seemed to close the gap on them a little bit, but I just thought that was very interesting that they tied last week. So who comes out this week will be the big storyline I'm looking for. All right, then if you go to scoreatl.com, we released the 3rd ballot for the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and it is 100 names. You can check it out. It's got it all listed by era and decade. I wanted to go over some of the names real quick, though. And when you look at the article, I thought this was important to do just to separate who is new to the ballot, who went on the ballot last year for the first time, and then who has been on the ballot all 3 years. So when the first ballot was formed, it was 100 names, but that was narrowed down from about 140. So some of the guys that made their debut last year were, I guess, on that initial conversation, but didn't make the first official ballot. Well, then 9 automatically got in that weren't on that 100. Those are the Pro Football Hall of Famers. And then 36 out of the first 100 got in. So that leaves us with 64 names. And then that second year, we had to fill in the other 36 new names. Well, last year, we voted on 40 guys to get in. And so now we had to find 40 new ones. And so when it is all said and done, you have 27 guys out of the 100 that have been on the ballot all 3 years. You have 33 that have been on there all 3 years. You have 27 that went on it last year for the first time that are back for round 2. And then you have 40 new names. And it is all broken down in the story. But a guy I wanted to talk about is, let's see. Thought this was very interesting. Here we go. Here we go. Johnny Carson from Roosevelt High School in 1948. He's one of the new names in the 1948 to 59, and he's going to be interesting for several reasons. He did not start playing high school football until his junior year, but that's just because he was busy dominating every other sport. So he is a legendary Atlanta athlete who would go the furthest in football as a college All-American at Georgia, and he was a 7-year NFL player. He did not play high school football until he was a junior, but when he did, the Tech boys broke up from 7 smaller neighborhood Atlanta schools. He led Roosevelt High School to basketball and golf state titles in his first 2 years. He was equally outstanding as a pitcher. His football teams were 2-7 and 5-5. Carson was all-city in football both years, second team all-state as a senior, and only 11 were on first team. At Georgia, he led the nation in receptions and receiving yards as a senior. So he was just dominating, and despite only playing 2 years, despite being on a team that was broken up from neighboring schools, he earned an opportunity at Georgia, immediately led the country, and then he was also the most valuable lineman in 1953. He's the only athlete in UGA history to letter in 4 sports: football, basketball, baseball, and golf, and he was All-American in 2 of them. He led the Washington Redskins in receiving 6 different seasons. He was a 1957 Pro Bowler at tight end. He started at end for the 1960 Houston Oilers AFL championship team, and then spent 35 years as a scout for the Eagles and Vikings. He was inducted into the UGA Circle of Honor in 2003, and he is in the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. So that is just one guy that, I mean, that's an interesting conversation when you look at his accomplishments and just the type of athlete he is. Not many guys have a resume like that. So that's from the 1948 to 59 season. I want to talk about some of the other new guys real quick. All right, let's go to the 1990s. You have David Green from South Gwinnett High School. Obviously, guys like Dave Hunter and some of the other guys on the staff or on the board are familiar with seeing him play in the 1990s, same era as Jeff Rancour, who got in a 2001 grad from Parkview. David Green, first team All-State as a senior, passed for 2,110 yards and 19 touchdowns. As a junior, he passed for another 2,095 and 14. He was the first player in Gwinnett County history to pass for 2,000 yards in consecutive seasons. South Gwinnett, who was under new head coach T. McFerrin, installed an offense suited for Green and went 8-5 and 9-3 in Green's final 2 seasons after going 0-10 the year before. That's how big of an impact he made. Green threw for 858 yards as a sophomore. He was a 3-star recruit, became a 4-year starter at Georgia after redshirting, passed for an SEC record 11,528 yards, a total that still ranks 3rd all-time. So that's up there with the Peyton Mannings, all those great SEC talents. And he led UGA to a 2002 SEC title. He was a 3rd-round NFL draft pick. So that's a name from the 1990s. He'll be on that list with Terry Harvey, Robert Toomer, Rodney Hudson, Patrick Pass, Jasper Sanks. Those guys were added last year. And then some of the 3-year guys, Clay Shiver, Cozy Coleman, Fabian Walker, and then Joe Burns. Some of the best to ever come through. The other new names, Dexter Daniels, Travis Stroud, and Kirk McGill. There's going to be 13 total in the 1990s. One of the biggest classes is the 2000s. And new on that list, Thomas Davis. I think he's one of the older ones on there. He was, I think, a 2000 grad. You have Jonathan Dwyer returning for his 3rd year. As someone that played against him, I didn't play defense, but we did. Kel dominated us. He was one of the best I've ever seen at high school. He was an absolute beast, and then had a phenomenal career at Georgia Tech as a running back. Hudson Mason, he's on there for the 3rd straight year. I think similar to what I said with David Green, I mean, he brought in a new type of offense at the high school level when he was at Lassiter, and really was the first star quarterback that the entire state knew about. It's like, oh, you play Lassiter, they've got this quarterback that we've seen him on Sports Center top 10 making plays. So he was a really big star right before the quarterback position took off. You also have Isaiah Crowell, new to the list, and then Alec Ogletree, Mitch Hyatt, Avery Jones, Rashad Jones from Douglas High School, played at Georgia, played at the Miami Dolphins, and then Demarius Thomas. I think that's a very interesting potential pick. Demarius Thomas, what a career he had. Beloved at Georgia Tech, one of the best to do it in the NFL as well. Let me just go over his real quick. Obviously, people know him from Tech and the NFL, but Demarius Thomas from West Lawrence, he was first-team All-State as a senior. He had 56 catches, 756 yards, 7 touchdowns as a senior on a traditionally poor West Lawrence program that had its first winning season in 9 years that season. He had 32 catches for 330 yards in 10 games as a junior. He was a 3-star recruit, ended up playing at Tech, was first-team All-ACC and third-team All-American in 2009. He ended up being a first-round draft pick. He was a 10-year NFL. He had a 10-year NFL career, 5 Pro Bowl appearances. He started on 2 Super Bowl teams. He was a Super Bowl champion in 2015 with the Denver Broncos. He sadly died at the age of 33 in 2021 from what they believed were medical complications from a 2019 car crash. He was inducted posthumously into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame in 2023, as well as the Georgia Tech Sports Hall of Fame in 2023, just last year. So got some great names to vote on. Go to scoreatl.com. You can check out the article there and look at the 100 names. And as I mentioned, it has who's new to the ballot, who was new last year, and then who's trying to get in this third time around. And it's just a matter of math. I mean, some of these guys have been really close the last 2 years, so this could be the year. But then you add in some new guys, and certain eras can take away votes. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll have those announcements out probably in the next month once that ballot gets released. But that is all we have for today. Be sure to follow us this weekend as we cover the latest spring sports. Thank you to our guest, Heath Webb, and we'll see you Monday.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.